So, Javier, to unlock the door of today's conversation, as someone who I see tweeting about kindness a lot and kind of talking about those themes, what is your definition of kindness?
Ooh, wow. That's a tough question
I know it's a big
because
one.
I think it is such a large concept. I don't think it's quite
Hmm.
simple, right? Because it's not just about because it's not just stemming from you, right? It's almost like kindness is a responsibility because we are not in this life alone.
Mm.
And so everything we do affects someone else. I have learned the hard way that the times when I'm angry, the times when I'm not my best version of myself, the times when I am stressed or anxious, um, I have learned more from those moments in terms of how deeply I can affect someone than I have than I've paid attention to in terms of my kindness.
Mm.
But it's allowed me to then look at kindness, look at love, look at positivity, look at a compliment like we were just talking about, and those kinds of gestures in a different way, and understand that the same way I can contaminate the air with anger and frustration and uh, anxiety,
Hmm.
I can also contaminate the air with kindness and love and joy. And so I think kindness is a to me is it's a responsibility and a choice every day, everywhere you are, right? When you're stuck on the
Yeah.
train and it's hot
Hmm.
and it's crowded and something happens, it's not just about you, right?
Hmm.
It is literally about everybody in that train car feels exactly the same way. We just want to get to where we're going and out of this train car. So
Hmm.
like breathe and be kind.
In regards to you and your following, what's something you believe in that you try to incorporate in every project or try and come across, as you're choosing things? I don't know if you're cognizant of that,
And
but
no, I very much so. And I made this decision back in high school. Like, when I was
wow.
just dreaming of doing this as a career, I said to myself, the thing that is most important to me is I want my characters that I play and the stories that I tell to portray all aspects of our lives. I
Mm.
don't want to just tell the happy ending story. I want to show the complicated person, and I want to show their light, and I want to show their dark, and I want to help audiences see all of it
Mhm.
so that perhaps the audience member that night or that afternoon watching and experiencing some storytelling I'm giving and performing, they walk away feeling that much, just a tiny bit more humane about themselves,
Mhm.
right? Maybe this asks that audience member to examine something about themselves and just look at it and maybe accept it. That would be the ultimate
Mhm.
thing. Is
Yeah,
like
be
they have
kinder to
some
themselves.
level of it, yeah, some level of acceptance that they experience, but at least they walk away looking at it,
Mhm.
thinking about it, that part of themselves, that character on that stage, that journey. I'm kind of like that. That kind of feels like me.
Mm.
And some people will run from that, but some won't.
Yeah.
And that's my hope, is that every time, especially someone like Hamilton,
Mhm.
I really loved digging into his faults, the things he
Mm.
got wrong, because then it's exactly that point. It's hoping that the audience has the experience of, we don't get everything right, and nothing about each of us is perfect, but we can love all of it. There's room for all of it, right?
Mm.
In ourselves, there's room for our light and our dark, and if we can accept that, how powerful and empowering that can be.
There's a lyric that kind of struck me in What Does My Heart Say? Well, the first lyric is follow your heart, they say, and then eventually, but what about those who don't get a choice? And it made me think, when you were first beginning to follow your dream, do you remember a time when you felt like giving up or felt doubt? And I mean, do you have any advice to offer looking back on how you persevered?
I have so much advice to give people, but
Give it
like
all.
any I think anyone listening, this industry is so incredibly hard and never stops being hard.
Mhm.
Um, Even when you feel like you've arrived, it comes with another. whole new set of challenges and expectations. Um, and I think as you climb, certainly my experience, it gets harder. There's
Mhm.
more people to answer to. There's more responsibility. There's just more, right? There's more investment in you as you climb in this industry, and so you really have to become responsible for so much more. And I think the things that have really gotten me through, um, I have had to cultivate. This is not something that came easy for me. I was complete opposite. I had to cultivate a gentleness with myself
Mhm.
that is at a level that is unmatched, like never in my life. It was something that I would there was no one who could be harder on myself than me.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't have survived the things I've survived in this industry and on my journey if I didn't truly cultivate a kindness towards myself and with
Mhm.
myself. And I think that's probably the greatest thing I can offer to anyone
Mhm.
as advice, because in that effort of being kind with yourself,
Mhm.
you create space, right?
Yeah.
You create a clarity, and that creates room for problem solving, for someone's advice that might help you, for
Mhm.
whatever it is that you need in the particular challenge that you're facing. The gentleness with yourself creates space to receive that, or
Yes.
or you yourself create that for yourself.
You've made such an impact on the LGBTQ plus community. And in regards to this musical and, the struggle, like we were just talking about, people have in accepting even the tiniest weird part about themselves. This is another kind of big question, but just thinking about this, what's your advice for those listening that are working toward self acceptance?
Gosh. Well, you know what? First of all, I think of this in the same way as I think of any personal journey, and it is always the thing that I constantly say. It is, you got to be gentle with yourself in the process. I think that is a fundamental place to begin, no matter what you're talking about. But if you are talking about being an LGBTQ plus person, and you're talking about finding your community, your place, your purpose, your worth, your your beauty, your calling, um, your endurance or persistence to keep going,
Mm,
whatever it is, it's I think the first place to start is just be able to look in the mirror and just be kind. Let that inner voice be kind to you. There's enough
mhm,
out there that's going to want to silence you, or make you disappear, or just have you, vanish into the background. Why feed it? Don't feed
mhm.
that. We all face that every day, and
Yeah.
to some degrees. So when you're with you, let that be so gentle and so loving and so kind to
Mhm.
you, and start there. I think that is the best advice I can give, because there's a plenty of energy out there that's
Oh, yeah.
counter, wants to make us LGBTQ plus folks, um, feel like we don't deserve joy and love and equality, but we do.